There are moments in life that feel impossible to explain. Moments when you wake up and feel that something is different. Not around you. Not in your home. Not in your job. But inside your own body. Inside your spirit. Inside that hidden place where fear and hope quietly fight for control. And if this message found you today, then stay with me until the end. Because what you are about to hear may be exactly the encouragement your heart has been waiting for. This is not a message of fear. This is not a message of panic. This is a message of awakening. A message about restoration. A message about paying attention to what God may be doing in your life right now. Because many people have been carrying invisible burdens. They smile in front of others. They continue working. They continue serving. They continue pretending everything is fine. Yet deep inside they feel exhausted. Drained. Discouraged. As if something has been pulling their strength away little by little. Maybe that describes you. Maybe for weeks. Or months. You have felt tired for reasons you cannot explain. Maybe your motivation has been disappearing. Maybe your confidence has been shaken. Maybe you have been asking heaven the same question again and again. Lord, what is happening to me? But what if this season is not the end of your story? What if this season is preparing you for a new chapter? What if God has been working behind the scenes while you thought nothing was changing? Think about that for a moment. Because some of the greatest transformations happen quietly. A seed grows underground before anyone sees it. A sunrise begins before the first ray reaches the horizon. And sometimes healing begins before any visible sign appears. Many people quit too early because they judge their future based on what they can see today. But heaven does not work according to human timelines. God does not measure progress the way people do. And what feels delayed to you may simply be developing. What feels forgotten may actually be protected. What feels silent may actually be preparation. That is why you must not give up. Not today. Not this week. Not in this season. Because there is a reason this message reached you. A reason these words are entering your ears right now. You have survived things that should have broken you. You have walked through storms that nobody else knew about. You have cried tears that nobody saw. You have fought battles that nobody applauded. And yet, you are still here. Read that again in your heart. You are still here. You are still standing. You are still breathing. You are still moving forward. That alone is evidence that God has not abandoned you. And sometimes we become so focused on what we have lost that we forget to celebrate what remains. You still have purpose. You still have value. You still have a future. And no challenge can erase the plan God has written for your life. There are people listening right now who feel like their best days are behind them. But I want you to consider another possibility. What if your greatest testimony has not happened yet? What if the chapter you are entering will make sense of every chapter that came before it? What if the struggle was preparation? What if the waiting was preparation? What if the uncertainty was preparation? Because often the strongest people are not those who never faced difficulty. The strongest people are those who kept walking through difficulty. And you have done exactly that. Every day you got up when you wanted to quit. Every day you continued when you wanted to stop. Every day you believed when doubt tried to consume you. That takes courage. That takes faith. That takes strength. And heaven sees it. Nothing has been wasted. Not a single prayer. Not a single tear. Not a single moment of faithfulness. God sees everything. Even the things nobody else notices. The nights you spent worrying. The mornings you spent hoping. The moments when you whispered a prayer because you had no strength left for anything more. He saw it all. And he still sees you now. So today, instead of focusing on fear, focus on faith. Instead of focusing on what could go wrong, focus on what God can make right. Instead of expecting disaster, expect possibility. Because the future is not written by fear. The future is shaped by faith, action, perseverance, and trust. And if you have been searching for a sign to keep going, let this be that sign. Keep going. Keep believing. Keep praying. Keep building. Keep trusting. Because your story is not over. The chapter you are in right now is not the final chapter. It is only a page. And pages turn. Seasons change. Storms pass. Night becomes morning. And people who refuse to quit eventually discover why they were asked to endure. So wherever you are listening from, take a deep breath. Lift your head. Remember who created you. Remember that your value does not come from circumstances. Your value does not come from opinions. Your value does not come from temporary setbacks. Your value comes from God. And that value cannot be taken away. Not by failure. Not by disappointment. Not by fear. Not by uncertainty. You were created with purpose. You were created with potential. You were created for more than survival. You were created to live. To grow. To overcome. To become everything God designed you to be. And maybe that transformation begins today. Maybe this is the moment you stop looking at yourself through the lens of fear. Maybe this is the moment you begin seeing yourself through the lens of faith. Maybe this is the moment you decide that your future will not be defined by your past. Because the person who refuses to quit is often closer to breakthrough than they realize. So hold on. Stay faithful. Stay hopeful. Stay strong. The journey is not finished. The story is not finished. And your purpose is not finished. The same God who carried you through yesterday is able to carry you through tomorrow. And one day you will look back on this season and realize that what felt like an ending was actually the beginning of something greater. Something stronger. Something wiser. Something deeper. Something that could only be built through faith. And when that day comes, you will understand why you were asked to keep going. Until then, keep walking. Keep believing. Keep trusting. And remember, you are stronger than you think. More loved than you know. And closer to your next chapter than you realize. And before you leave, there is something else you need to hear. Because many people stop listening the moment they feel encouraged. But encouragement is only the beginning. What happens after encouragement determines everything. You see, there are seasons when God comforts us. And there are seasons when God calls us higher. This may be one of those moments. A moment when you are being invited to look honestly at your life. Not through fear. Not through shame. But through truth. Because truth has the power to change everything. Ask yourself something. Have you been taking care of the gifts God has already placed in your hands? Your time. Your energy. Your mind. Your body. Your relationships. Your purpose. Many people spend years praying for a miracle while neglecting the blessings they already possess. They ask for strength but ignore rest. They ask for peace but feed anxiety. They ask for direction but avoid reflection. And little by little, they become disconnected from the life they were meant to live. But today can be different. Right now can be different. Because awareness is the first step toward transformation. The moment you recognize what needs attention, you gain the power to change it. That is why so many people miss opportunities. Not because opportunities never arrive, but because they are distracted when they do. Imagine receiving a priceless gift and never opening it. Imagine standing in front of a door while constantly looking the other direction. Imagine carrying a treasure while believing you are empty. That is how many people live. And they never realize it. Yet today, you have a chance to wake up. To become aware. To notice what truly matters. Because life moves quickly. Days become weeks. Weeks become months. Months become years. And before we know it, entire seasons have passed. So do not postpone what deserves attention today. If there is a dream in your heart, nurture it. If there is a relationship that needs healing, work toward it. If there is wisdom you need to gain, seek it. If there is gratitude you need to express, express it. Because tomorrow is not guaranteed. But today has already been placed in your hands. And what you do with today matters. More than most people realize. Some listeners may feel disappointed because they keep waiting for a dramatic sign. Something extraordinary. Something impossible to ignore. But often God's greatest work appears in ordinary moments. A conversation. A decision. A realization. A small step taken consistently. A choice repeated daily. Those things may seem insignificant. Yet they have the power to change an entire future. Never underestimate small beginnings. The tallest tree once looked insignificant. The strongest river began as a tiny stream. The greatest victories often start with a single decision. And perhaps your decision begins now. Perhaps your decision is simply refusing to quit. Refusing to surrender your hope. Refusing to believe the negative voices that have surrounded you. Because those voices have been loud lately. Haven't they? The voice of doubt. The voice of fear. The voice that says nothing will ever change. The voice that says you are too late. The voice that says you missed your chance. But those voices are not telling the whole story. Because your future has not been written by fear. And your potential has not been cancelled by difficulty. One setback cannot erase your purpose. One mistake cannot erase your value. One hard season cannot erase your destiny. Remember that. The people who succeed are not people who avoid every obstacle. They are people who keep moving despite obstacles. And you have already proven that you can do that. Look at how far you have come. Look at everything you have survived. Look at every challenge that once seemed impossible. You are still here. You made it through. And if you made it through those moments, why assume you will not make it through this one? Sometimes we forget our own strength. We forget the battles we already won. We forget the prayers that were already answered. We forget the mountains that were already climbed. But heaven has not forgotten. Every lesson matters. Every experience matters. Every season matters. Even the painful ones. Especially the painful ones. Because struggle often reveals strengths we never knew we possessed. Pressure reveals character. Difficulty reveals resilience. Challenges reveal faith. And perhaps that is why you are still standing today. Not because life has been easy, but because you have become stronger than you realize. So stop measuring yourself by your current circumstances. Measure yourself by the strength it took to survive them. Measure yourself by the courage it took to keep going. Measure yourself by the faith it took to continue believing. That faith matters. More than you know. Because faith changes the way we see. Faith allows us to recognize possibilities where others see limitations. Faith allows us to continue when results are not yet visible. Faith allows us to trust that today's struggle does not determine tomorrow's outcome. And if there is one thing you should remember from this message, remember this. Do not let temporary circumstances convince you of permanent defeat. A difficult chapter is not a failed story. A delay is not a denial. A challenge is not a conclusion. Your story is still being written. Your future is still unfolding. Your purpose is still alive. And there are chapters ahead that you cannot yet imagine. Chapters filled with growth. Chapters filled with wisdom. Chapters filled with opportunities. Chapters filled with blessings that only become visible when the time is right. So continue moving forward. Continue believing. Continue trusting. Continue growing. Because every step matters. Every choice matters. Every day matters. And one day, you will look back at this season and realize that what seemed uncertain was quietly preparing you for something greater than you expected. Until then, stay faithful. Stay patient. Stay focused. And never forget. The best part of the story may still be ahead. Now listen carefully. Because this may be the most important part of this entire message. There is a difference between being alive and truly living. Most people breathe. Most people wake up. Most people go through routines. But not everyone is truly living with purpose. Not everyone is truly awake to the opportunities surrounding them. Not everyone recognizes the value of the days they have been given. And that is why so many people reach the end of a season and wonder where the time went. They kept waiting. Waiting for the perfect moment. Waiting for the perfect opportunity. Waiting for perfect conditions. But perfection never arrived. And while they waited, life continued moving forward. Do not make that mistake. Do not spend your future waiting for certainty. Because certainty is a luxury that very few people ever receive. The people who change their lives are not always the people with the most confidence. They are often the people who move forward despite uncertainty. They take one step, then another, and eventually they arrive somewhere completely different from where they began. That is the power of persistence. And perhaps persistence is exactly what God has been teaching you. Think about it. Every challenge you have faced required persistence. Every difficult season required endurance. Every obstacle required faith. And because you continued moving forward, you became stronger. Not overnight. Not instantly. But gradually. Quietly. Powerfully. Strength rarely arrives all at once. It is built day by day. Decision by decision. Choice by choice. That is why you should never underestimate the small actions you take today. A single positive habit repeated consistently can transform an entire future. A single act of courage can open a door you never expected. A single moment of faith can change the direction of a life. Many people search for dramatic breakthroughs. But often the greatest breakthroughs begin with simple obedience. Doing what is right when nobody is watching. Remaining faithful when results are delayed. Maintaining hope when circumstances suggest otherwise. Continuing to believe when evidence appears scarce. Those moments shape destiny. Those moments build character. Those moments create stories worth telling. And your story is still unfolding. There are pages you have not read yet. Blessings you have not seen yet. Lessons you have not learned yet. Opportunities you have not discovered yet. Do not assume that today's limitations define tomorrow's possibilities. Because they do not. The future has a way of surprising people who refuse to give up. And perhaps that surprise is closer than you think. Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe not next week. But sooner than you realize. Because progress is often invisible before it becomes obvious. The roots grow before the tree appears. The foundation is built before the house is seen. The preparation happens before the opportunity arrives. That is why patience matters. Not passive patience. Active patience. The kind of patience that continues working. Continues learning. Continues growing. Continues believing. Even when immediate results are unavailable. That kind of patience is powerful. And it is becoming increasingly rare. We live in a world that wants everything immediately. Immediate success. Immediate answers. Immediate rewards. Immediate recognition. But meaningful growth rarely works that way. The strongest foundations take time. The deepest wisdom takes time. The greatest transformations take time. And maybe your current season is part of that process. Maybe you are being prepared for responsibilities you cannot yet see. Maybe you are developing strength you will need later. Maybe you are learning lessons that will eventually help someone else. Never underestimate the value of preparation. Because when opportunity arrives, preparation determines whether we are ready. And opportunities often arrive unexpectedly. A conversation. A phone call. A meeting. A new idea. A new direction. A new possibility. Things can change quickly. Much more quickly than most people expect. That is why you should stay ready. Stay hopeful. Stay attentive. Stay grateful. Gratitude is especially important. Because gratitude changes perspective. It shifts attention away from what is missing and toward what already exists. And when gratitude grows, hope often grows with it. Look around for a moment. There are blessings in your life right now. Perhaps not every blessing you desire. Perhaps not every answer you seek. But blessings nonetheless. The ability to learn. The ability to grow. The ability to begin again. The ability to hope. These gifts are precious. Never take them for granted. Because there are people who would give anything for the opportunities you still possess. And there are possibilities ahead of you that cannot be measured today. That is why discouragement can be so dangerous. Discouragement convinces people to quit before the breakthrough. To stop before the finish line. To surrender before the victory becomes visible. Do not allow discouragement to steal your future. You have come too far. You have endured too much. You have learned too much. And there is still more ahead. Much more. The next chapter of your life does not require perfection. It requires faithfulness. It requires consistency. It requires courage. It requires a willingness to keep moving forward. Even when the destination is not fully visible. Especially when the destination is not fully visible. Because that is where faith operates. Faith does not wait until everything makes sense. Faith moves forward anyway. Faith believes anyway. Faith continues anyway. And that faith has carried countless people through impossible situations. It can carry you too. So if you feel tired, rest. But do not quit. If you feel uncertain, reflect. But do not surrender. If you feel discouraged, pray. But do not give up. Because your journey is not finished. Your purpose is not finished. Your growth is not finished. And the story God is writing through your life is not finished. There are still victories ahead. Still lessons ahead. Still opportunities ahead. Still moments of joy ahead. And one day, you will understand why every challenge mattered. Why every delay mattered. Why every lesson mattered. Until that day arrives. Keep your eyes forward. Keep your faith strong. Keep your heart open. And keep walking. Because every step you take today is carrying you closer to the person you were created to become. And that person is stronger, wiser, more resilient, more prepared, and more capable than you currently realize. And now, as we come to the final part of this message, there is one last truth that must be spoken. Because everything you have heard so far leads to this moment. The truth is, your future is not waiting for permission from your fears. Your future is not asking your doubts whether it can arrive. Your future is not controlled by every negative voice that has tried to convince you to quit. Your future is being built by the decisions you make today. Right now. In this moment. Most people think transformation happens in a single dramatic event. But real transformation usually happens quietly. It happens when nobody is watching. It happens through daily choices, daily discipline, daily faith, daily perseverance. The world celebrates sudden success. But heaven often works through consistent growth. And that growth may already be happening inside you. Even if you cannot see it yet. Think about who you were a year ago. Think about what you understood then. Think about the challenges that once felt impossible. You have changed. You have learned. You have grown. You have survived. You are not the same person you used to be. And that matters. Because growth is proof that your story is moving forward. Sometimes people become discouraged because they compare themselves to others. They compare journeys. They compare accomplishments. They compare timelines. But comparison is a thief. It steals gratitude. It steals peace. It steals joy. Your path was never meant to look exactly like someone else's path. Your timing was never meant to match someone else's timing. Your story was never meant to be a copy of someone else's story. God writes unique stories. And your story is unique. The lessons you have learned. The battles you have fought. The wisdom you have gained. The strength you have developed. All of it is shaping a future that belongs specifically to you. That is why you must stop questioning your worth. Stop questioning whether you matter. Stop questioning whether your efforts are making a difference. Because they are. Every positive choice matters. Every act of kindness matters. Every moment of faith matters. Every step forward matters. Even the small ones. Especially the small ones. Small steps repeated over time create extraordinary results. A single drop of water seems insignificant. Yet countless drops can carve stone. A single sunrise lasts only moments. Yet day after day it transforms the world. And the same principle applies to your life. Never underestimate what consistent faithfulness can accomplish. Never underestimate what persistence can accomplish. Never underestimate what hope can accomplish. Because hope is more powerful than many people realize. Hope keeps people moving when circumstances become difficult. Hope keeps people believing when evidence is limited. Hope keeps people standing when others give up. And if you still have hope, then you still have possibility. No matter what happened yesterday. No matter what mistakes were made. No matter what disappointments occurred. Possibility still exists. Opportunity still exists. Purpose still exists. Many people think they need a completely new life. But sometimes what they really need is a new perspective. A new understanding. A new appreciation for what is already possible. Because blessings often appear where gratitude exists. Growth often appears where effort exists. Breakthrough often appears where persistence exists. That is why you must continue. Continue learning. Continue growing. Continue believing. Continue becoming. Because your journey matters. More than you realize. Your example matters. More than you realize. Your influence matters. More than you realize. There are people watching your life who may never tell you. People learning from your resilience. People learning from your character. People learning from your determination. And every time you choose courage instead of fear, you inspire someone else to do the same. Every time you choose faith instead of despair, you create light in places that need it. Never underestimate the impact of your choices. The ripple effects often travel farther than you can see. And perhaps that is one reason you have come this far. Perhaps your story is not only about you. Perhaps your victories will encourage others. Perhaps your perseverance will strengthen others. Perhaps your growth will inspire others. That possibility alone makes your journey meaningful. So as this message comes to an end, take a moment. Reflect on everything you have survived. Reflect on everything you have learned. Reflect on everything that still remains possible. Do not focus only on what is missing. Focus on what is growing. Do not focus only on closed doors. Focus on the doors that may still open. Do not focus only on the challenges. Focus on the strength you gained by facing them. Because you are stronger than the obstacle. Wiser than the setback. More capable than the fear. And more prepared than you realize. The next chapter may contain opportunities you cannot currently imagine. The next season may contain answers you have been seeking. The next step may reveal possibilities you never expected. Stay open to them. Stay ready for them. Stay hopeful about them. Because life has a remarkable way of rewarding people who refuse to stop moving forward. And if there is one final message to carry with you after this video ends, carry this. Your story is not over. Your purpose is not over. Your opportunity is not over. The best chapter has not necessarily been written yet. The greatest lesson may still be ahead. The greatest growth may still be ahead. The greatest testimony may still be ahead. So walk forward with confidence. Walk forward with gratitude. Walk forward with courage. Walk forward with faith. And when future challenges appear, remember this moment. Remember how far you have already come. Remember how much strength already exists inside you. Remember that every season eventually changes. And remember that the person who continues believing, continues growing, and continues moving forward, often discovers blessings they never thought possible. Thank you for spending these moments together. Take these words with you. Hold on to hope. Hold on to faith. Hold on to purpose. And keep moving forward. Your next chapter is waiting. And it may be more beautiful than anything you have imagined.